All right. So in today's session, what I want to cover, or what I want you to work together with me, is to build a plan for your PhD. What is it that you should do if you are in year one? And I see there is a mix of students who have joined the session. Some of you are in year one, some are in year two, some are in the final year. So there is a lot of different and varied experience that we can leverage upon. And my intention behind running this session is to build a very comprehensive research plan for your PhDs. Okay, so if you know what you need to do and then you do it, you know when you can finish it. So it's something similar. You can imagine like a staircase. You are at the very bottom, which is year one. And if you can see the complete stairs from the bottom all the way till the top, that is where you want to be. You know how many steps you have to take. You know what steps need to be taken. And then you can prepare and plan for that effectively. So that is the plan behind running these 3 sessions. And at the end, I'm hoping that we get a very thorough plan. All right. Before we begin, if you look at the YouTube description, the video description in the YouTube, there are a couple of links that I have copied there. So we would be using those links today. So I would suggest, if you have not already opened them, open them now, so that when we begin, you all are ready. So one of that is a Google form. I had sent it out yesterday, and the idea behind sending that form was to get you to start thinking about some of the activities that you want to do this year. So I had 12 options there. Some of you have replied and filled up those forms. And I don't know how many of you are here who have completed that form. So I suggest the first task that we do today is to get that form filled. So take maybe probably 5 or 10 minutes maybe. Just think carefully of what activities you want to achieve. One activity each month. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I have tried to do it. But don't just repeat the same activity in those 12 things. Think about it, give it a careful thought, and add at least 12 different activities. And for now, put it in the form, and we will then use all that information from all of you that you have, who have submitted, and those that you have joined now, and we will come up with a very thorough plan that everyone can benefit from. Okay, so I will give you 10 minutes to start and filling up the form. So open up the Google Forms and start filling those 12 questions. Okay, I think all of you might have answered the questions now. Let's continue with the presentation, and then we will start the class activity, because most of today we will be doing a lot of class activity, but I still have some presentations. All right. So starting with PhD, what I thought was, I'll just briefly list some of the big activities, major activities that you have to do as part of your PhD. Okay. So here you can see we start off with research proposal. When you apply for admission, you might have to give a small research proposal, and then you have to build up on your research proposal in the first 6 months of your PhD. Research questions, you have to identify and formulate research questions, and you do this by undertaking a systematic literature review. Once you have done that, once your research questions are identified and you have been your research has been approved by the university after a presentation or a proposal acceptance process, You can start with your research, conduct your research, do the data collection, theory or framework development, gather your results, or if you're doing a simulation, conduct the simulation, then write thesis and submit it. And while doing your PhD, on many occasions or in many universities, you also get the opportunity to do some teaching and research assistant activities as a job. So that is also a part of your experience as a PhD as part of the PhD program. Finally, you will have a viva or defense, depending upon which part of the world you're from. Many countries do have that. And you also will do attend conferences, present your research at conferences, and also write journals. This is a very high level activities that you will do in your PhD. So what is it that you should do in year one? So we want to the focus of today's session is year one of your PhD. And some of the activities that you do will be, we will see what all the activities you need to do during your year one. So broadly, I break the first year of your PhD into two categories, or 2 semesters for that matter. So in the first 6 months, you should aim for 2 or 3 some large major targets, and similarly another 2 or 3 targets for the second half of the year one of your PhD. So in normal course, in the first year of your PhD, the first 6 months of your PhD, you will most likely be working on refining and finalizing your research proposal and identifying and finalizing your research questions. So in my university, we give students 6 months, if they are working on their PhD in a full-time mode, to prepare their research proposal, and they have to give a presentation to a committee, to a panel. So that is the main objective, main thing that students will do or can do in the first 6 months of their PhD. And then depending upon how well you have progressed, how well you have done your research, you may be in a phase, you may be in a situation or a place that you can actually start your actual framework, conceptual framework or theoretical framework development, or even theory building, depending upon your type of your research. So that all should begin in the second part of the year one. So these 2 or 3 activities that we have, that I have suggested here, 2 or 3 targets, it is a good idea to break them down into several smaller. So the idea is that if you know your milestones, you know you can achieve them, and you can plan to achieve those milestones. But in the first instance, if you do not have the milestones, okay, so if you do not have the milestones, you will be just progressing without any plan. So we need these milestones to be there. Okay, so first thing I wanted to start off with is to list different softwares and apps that you can use during your PhD. So some of you might already be using these. Some of you may be new to this. So let's see the list that I have compiled here. So make a note of these different softwares. Like for writing, if you're using LaTeX or Overleaf, or there are many other, or just traditional Word even to write for writing software, for writing your thesis. The next is there are different types of referencing softwares that you may need to use. Some examples you can see here: Zotero, Jabref, Mendeley, EndNote, and there are many others. So some of them are free, some of them are paid, or some of them you may have subscription through your institution, through your university. The next thing is scheduling software. I think scheduling is very important during the first year of your PhD, because you need to get into that habit of properly planning different things and following the plan. So here we have different softwares. The simplest one or free to use is, I would say, Google Calendar. Then there are other freewares or freemium tools like Todoist, Wunderlist, and you can also use Google Sheets for doing your schedule or planning your schedule. Other softwares that you may need: Office, like Google Docs. You can use Word, Excel, PowerPoint for your general text editing. One important thing is storage. How you're going to store your different your research papers, or the papers that you download to read, papers that you write. So having a proper plan of how you're going to save your files and how you're going to back up as well. So I strongly recommend using Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud, or some solution of that sort, where you know your documents that you do are safe and they will not be lost. On many occasions, I have seen students losing their work because it was stored on the USB thumb drive, or it was stored on the external hard drive, and then they lost it or misplaced it, or it was stolen, and all your work can go in a second. So having a backup online, I think, is very important to ensure that your work that you have done does not get lost. Also ensure that if you install the desktop version of these softwares, for example, Google Drive or Dropbox, the auto sync is enabled, which means that your files get automatically stored to these storage devices, storage platforms. Because it may happen that your laptop or your computer gets breaks or stops working, and then although you have the files, but they will not be accessible. So enable syncing your files automatically. During the course of your PhD, you may need to do draw some figures or edit some images to make your thesis or your paper look beautiful and nice. So there are many different image editing softwares. I've just listed one here, so have a look at that. If your work involves using data analysis, you have a lot of data that you need to analyze, or even analyzing your research questionnaire, you need some tools and familiarity with such platforms. So some examples here are, from a programming language perspective, R, Python, MATLAB, Origin Lab, and SPSS, for example. So there are many tools that you need to be aware of, and not just aware, you need to be comfortable and expert in using it, because you would need that for your data analysis. For project management, it's very important. In fact, what we are doing now is project management. Since managing your PhD over 3 years is a big, you can imagine it as a big project, and if you do not manage it properly, it is very likely that you will get lost in that process of doing all different types of activities. So I have mentioned some project management tools here. Trello, I use Trello myself, is very useful. There are others that I have seen. Asana, Microsoft Project is a good one. Toggle is also another one. So have a look at these, try one or two and see which one you're comfortable with using, and you can start using those. Note taking is also very important, and something that you should either have it on your phone, because during the course of your PhD you may get many ideas, and You may get many ideas, and it would be good to have or jot down these ideas as you are progressing, so you don't lose any thoughts that you get. And so some examples, tools, apps that you can use are Evernote, Google Keep, OneNote, Notion, and so on. Another thing that many students do is to make a journal, or like not a journal paper, but like a diary or a daily record of what you do. And for that, there is a software or app called as Day One. You can try that out. There is another concept called as the Pomodoro timers. So this is, I will not go into the details of that, but basically it tells you, it is a way to kind of focus your attention and decide on a task that you want to do in a specific amount of time, and you start that timer. So you can see the timer running, and you are working on that particular activity. It may be reading a research paper. You start a timer and start reading, or it could be writing something, and then you start that and you start writing. So it's a very good tool to kind of focus and avoid distractions. For task management, there is an app called Things 3. If you want to use a stopwatch, to similar like timers, you can use Toggle. And there is, for thesis writing, there is a web platform called as Scrivener. So do check that out as well. And the list keeps on going. So you can see how many different types of apps and platforms you would need to use. If you want to bookmark some websites that you read, Instapaper is a good one. It can be installed on the phone. And you can easily, if you're browsing a website or browsing a YouTube video, you can just share it. And Instapaper comes up as one of the sharing option, and you can just select Instapaper, and then that link gets stored right away. Mind mapping tools. I used to use Mind Map quite a lot before, but it does not have the collaborative feature like Coggle. So I found Coggle as an option for us to work with. For plagiarism detection, you would need to use Turnitin or any other software, any other plagiarism detection platform. For English, Grammarly is a good option to see, to find out your grammatical mistakes, grammatical errors, or even improve your writing skills. So some of these are free, some of them are not free. You may have to buy a subscription for that. If you are in the networking space, simulation software like NS2 or NS3, or I don't know the latest version of network simulator that is out there. But yeah, those could be another other apps that you should keep an eye on as well. The other thing other than the apps is I found a number of extensions that you can use if you're using Chrome. These are some of the extensions that I would recommend you start using. For example, Momentum. Momentum is like a dashboard. Makes your Chrome tab into a dashboard and shows you some information that you want, like your to-do lists or motivational thoughts or things like that. So it is configurable, depends on what all information you want to show on the dashboard. Tab groups is another very useful app extension that I think, especially if you have a lot of tabs that you use during when you're browsing. Okay, there's other tools like Toby for bookmarks, MyBib for citation generator, Forest, like the one that I showed you earlier, also is a Chrome extension for Pomodoro timers. Viva is also a very useful tool that I find, especially for annotation. So if you have all your research papers and you want to annotate them online, then Viva is a good option. Grammarly has an extension for Chrome, and Pocket. It's similar to Instapaper where you can record any websites or anything that you want to record easily. So yeah, so I think those were the different apps and softwares that I think you should have a look and start using it, because I think that it will improve your productivity quite a lot and will help you to kind of manage your overall research very effectively. So there is a lot of things you have to do just based upon these few slides that I have covered. Okay, next what I want to say is, as a year one PhD student, I want you to start a routine. Come up with a plan that you want to do, and do it every day. So that is very important, to start a routine and follow a routine. So this way you can ensure that you have everything planned for the day in advance. So you don't have to, so when you go to your office or your PhD space, you don't have to think, what is it that I'm going to do now? Because it should be planned, and the plan that we are going to design will kind of help you in that as well. We will come up with a kind of a very generic plan, I would say, but then you all can customize it to your needs. So another thing that you should do, I guess, in your first year is socialize and make some new friends in the university. I have seen many students, especially in Australia, because a lot of PhD students who come here come from another country, and so they are new here. They do not have many friends, so they are kind of feel a bit lonely or isolated. So I always recommend my students to kind of go to events and make some new friends in a new city. And it might even be for you, if you are doing a PhD in a different city from where you are currently staying. So you might be experiencing the same situation. One thing I would recommend is, even in year one of your PhD, is to start writing from day one. The thing that almost all students struggle is writing. Research can be easy, data collection can be easy, but to sit and start writing, I've seen a lot of students struggle doing that. So scribble down your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, whatever you get, and like I said, use these different apps to record whatever thoughts come to your mind right away. You should also start actively working on your systematic literature review paper in the first, if not a systematic literature review paper, but to start doing your systematic literature review in the first 6 months of your PhD program. It is very important, because doing a systematic review will help you to plan your research questions more correctly and thoroughly, and you will be confident that you have you have studied enough, you have screened all the relevant research that relates to your field, and you have not missed out on anything. So keep that in mind. Also, another thing I suggest is look for Google Scholar alerts. And if you are doing your systematic literature review and you have identified specific keywords or key strings or search strings, use that in Google Scholar and create alerts or reminders for you. So at any particular time, a new paper comes in which fits that criteria, you will have your research, you will get a notification. I would also strongly suggest to select a few books that you want to read in the first year. So this could either be related to your research, or it could be a mix of some non PhD related books as well. Could be depending upon what you like to read. but just to get your mind off from your daily research activities, something different for you to cover. You also need to stay organized, plan your activities in advance, plan your goals, and make sure that you know what exactly you are going to do every day, every each day, or even a particular hour of that particular day. So I will talk a bit about that later on how you can organize these things. Supervision. This is, I guess, when you are doing a PhD in a full time mode, you will probably be interacting quite a lot with your main supervisor or and your co-supervisor, or primary supervisor and co-supervisor. So start thinking about how to maintain a good relationship with your supervisor. Keep them informed of your progress, either a weekly email of all the activities that you have done in and send them out every week, maybe on the Friday, or preferably Friday evening is good. You finish off the week and you say, this is what my achievements are for this week. When you go for a meeting, also be well prepared. Make note, probably make a list of questions that you want to ask your supervisors, and so just so that you are very well organized rather than thinking about that during the meeting. So be prepared, plan your meeting properly, and ideally you should schedule the meetings with your supervisor earlier on, say maybe every week or every fortnight. I normally meet my students weekly in their first year, and then fortnightly in the following years. Once you complete the meeting, it is also a good idea to take notes and send an email to your supervisor about the meeting points that you have covered. Another thing that you can do in the first 6 months of your PhD is to take some online courses, either free or paid, doesn't matter, but learn some new things, those that you think will be helpful to you in your PhD going forward. You can learn on experimental or mathematical techniques. You can learn basic programming languages if you want to do some data analysis later on. Learn courses on presentation. I see a lot of students struggle in this aspect, that when they have to present, maybe even learning how to make beautiful PowerPoint slides is a skill, and there are many courses that you may find which will teach you how to do beautiful PowerPoint slides, because this will be very helpful when you go to a conference to present your paper. Do some courses on project management, time management, planning, organizing. All this will help you in your PhD over the next 3 years or so. And some of these things you can even start before you start your PhD officially. To keep yourself involved and engaged, it is also a good idea to attend a lot of events that are happening around you in the city, or maybe in the current scenario, online events that may be happening. So try to slot some time to attend some events, workshops, join summer schools, attend conferences, participate in networking events. So keep yourself keep yourself occupied and also do networking, because you never know what may help you during your PhD career. So I strongly recommend attending getting onto networking events, because you need to meet more and more people, especially if your research involves data collection or interviews. You need to know people. You have to be very social, very active, because once you have met somebody in person, and if they are relevant to your research or they could help you with your data collection, they are more likely to provide you or give feedback or give help you fill up your questionnaire or do the interview for you because you have met them personally. So try to start all these activities early on during your PhD. Another thing that you can do is to start thinking about yourself as a brand and do some personal branding activities from year one all the way to till year three. One thing you could start off is build a LinkedIn profile. Not sure how many of you have a LinkedIn profile, but if you do not, then I think you should do that. Do that as one of the tasks because you need to be in the professional community because as you are there, there may be opportunities that you can get which otherwise you may not. You could also start a blog and share your ideas about your research. Or if you're interested, you can also begin a YouTube channel or be active on any other social media. But try to be there and share some of the research that you are doing from year one. And you never know who may read it and find it useful, or you may find a collaborator because of that, and you may benefit that way. One thing that you also should keep in mind is while you're doing your PhD, and if this is preferably more relevant to young PhD students, not mature aged PhD students. I've seen, like I was myself was a young PhD student. I didn't work in between. I did my bachelor's, master's, and PhD one after the other. So for me, those 3 years of my PhD were actually planning for what I would do after my PhD. So during those 3 years, you are doing your PhD, that's right, but you also have to think about once you graduate from complete your PhD, how well placed you are for the next phase of your life. So if you are thinking of working in academia, in a university as an academic, look at what is required in your country to get a job as an academic. So is it a good publication track record? Is it timely completion of your PhD? Whatever the requirement may be, look for a job. Maybe just look at a job advertisement and see what are their criteria for employment, selection criteria. That will be helpful to you to see what is it that you would need to do after you graduate. And you have to use these 3 years to achieve that, or to build up your track record so that you will find a job afterwards. You also need to be confident about the work that you do. I have seen on many occasions students are not really very confident, although they are right, but they don't have that confidence about the work or about the research that they are doing. So start building that confidence. And the way you can build up that confidence is when you speak with others, talk to others about your research. And when you do it once, when you do it twice, it kind of becomes a habit, and you will build your confidence. And every time you explain your research to somebody else, you will notice that you add something more, and your explanation of your research becomes even better. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and it is ideally a good practice to talk to senior researchers, maybe those who are in the second year or third year of their PhD at your university, and learn from their experience. See what they suggest. If there is any tips that they can give you, be open to suggestions and absorb everything that students, that your seniors are telling you. You should also find a research buddy or a research friend Ideally, somebody who is starting the PhD at the same time. That way, you are both in the same level and the same stage of your PhD progress, and then you have somebody to talk to. It's a good idea to have someone like that. And remember that time flies very quickly. First couple of months may disappear very quickly, even without you noticing that. So starting having a proper plan and knowing what all you want to do each month, I think keeping that targets will help you to navigate this PhD journey effectively. Okay, so what I have done now is I just thought what all would be some of the activities that you should do in year one of your PhD. Most of it is based on my experience that I've been sharing with my students, plus some books that I have read about this. So all these activities that I have listed here, in fact, can go into the plan that we are developing. But this is just a start. We need to come up with even more thorough plan. Okay, so what are some of the activities in year one? So join online research groups. So there are many online research groups that you can join, and it's a good idea because you are among a cohort of PhDs. So you experience the similar challenges, achievements, and so on. You could meet and greet people in your department. If you are new to the department, it's always a good idea to go and say hello to everyone, or even organize a small party. Maybe just bring some sweets or something. So just get people around and introduce yourself. Visit the library, and if you need to get any access cards to access the services from the library for borrowing books and so on, maybe do that. Meet your librarian. In here we have a process where students can actually go and have a meeting with the librarian one-on-one to see what services they can offer and how they can help you as a PhD researchers in getting access to the information that you need. Install necessary software. Like I mentioned earlier on, all the softwares that I have suggested will be good for you. Start a routine. Make a plan of activities for year one. Sort out all your admission paperwork. If there is any that needs to be done, do that. If you are in a new city or new college or university, settle in, learn a bit about the college, the university, and so on. Explore the city. If you are new there, keep some time to go and look around the new city. Find a meeting template to use with your supervisor. So if you have not, there may be a lot available online that you can use, but I also have some. If you want a copy of the template, just send me an email at contact@vidippoddar.com. I'll send you a template. Start a research journal or diary, like I mentioned. Make notes, because these notes can be really helpful later down the track. Keep a record of all your tasks or activities that you're doing, and wherever you see an underline here, that refers to finding a relevant template that you can use for this. You can also start an experiment log or a diary. So if your research involves experiments in a lab and you have to take notes, then it's good to have a physical diary as well. I've seen a lot of students in physical sciences do have that. Create a data storage and backup plan. I mentioned earlier on that you need to safeguard your files very properly, because you don't want all your hard work lost because of a lost hard drive or a broken computer. Plan your day. So kind of break down your day into work related to your PhD, and travel, relax, give some time for relaxing. Travel as in from your office, from the university to home and back. Also give some time to do exercise, because you need a healthy body and a fresh mind to be most productive in your research, in your PhD. Plan some time for your hobbies and leisure activities. Plan for 3 or 4 years, and we will do that. So you'll have something to start off with. Create a weekly template in a calendar and a daily template in a calendar. So if you're using any calendar software, maybe it's Outlook or is Google Calendar or any other calendar of your choice, create a weekly plan. What is it you're going to do on day 1, day 2, or Monday, Tuesday till Friday? And also create a daily plan. So what are you going to, if you're going to start at 9 o'clock and you're working from 9 to 5, break down those activities, what you're going to do, and put it in the calendar. So you know that these are the steps, or these are the activities that you have planned for today, and this is what you are going to do. Yeah. And another thing is, do not fill up your calendar, the daily calendar, from 9 to 5. Just plan, say, 70 or 75% of your time, because sometimes the activities that you have planned may take longer than you expect, and then you would need to have that buffer to complete the tasks. So these two are, I think, very important activities. If you are required to undertake any coursework during your PhD then probably it is the first semester that you would be doing. I mean, that is what normally happens here in my university. If the students are required to undertake coursework on research, mostly it is research methodology related units that you have to take, and that can be done in the first semester of your enrollment. You should start your systematic literature review during the first semester of your, or the first 6 months of your PhD. Ideally, you can also attend candidacy or PhD proposal talks, so where other PhD students are presenting their proposal to a panel. We here in my university, we allow other PhD students to attend such events, such talks, so they can learn from this. So if that is the case in your university, I strongly recommend you do that, because you have to do that sometime later. So it is a good idea to see how others do it and learn from that. You could also attend research seminars if your university organizes research seminars which are delivered by professors or experts. Then it is always good to go and listen to them, and also network and talk to them afterwards. In the first 6 months, I would say you should also finalize your PhD research proposal, and you may have to do a presentation for that as well. Also take time to talk to other academics. Don't just limit yourself to your supervisors and co-supervisors. Also talk to others. They may have some more information or some more things for you to suggest to you. Seems like the list of activities is not finishing, and so quite a lot of things for you to plan, I would say. You could also convert your proposal to a literature review paper and submit it for review. And I normally get my students to do that after their PhD proposal PhD proposal presentation is complete. So after 6 months, the first major target is to publish a thorough systematic literature review paper. If times are good, you can also participate in a PhD research conference, and that is PhD research conference, or we call it as a PhD colloquium, and that is where we get PhD students to present either their proposals or any progress that they have made. So it is only the PhD students who are presenting at such a conference or such an event. So you could do that, or you could present your proposal as a poster at some conference and get feedback from other researchers in that area. Plan your data collection, simulation, or experimentation in advance. And if you need to do anything, prepare anything, contact anyone, set up some software or a questionnaire online, start doing that. Get yourself familiar with those kinds of apps as well. Complete your annual progress report. This is what is required at my university. The student has to give an annual report of what they have done, and aim to have at least one good paper accepted or published in the first year of your PhD. So that would become one of your very good outcome. You could also aim to finalize your methodology, because if you have your methodology finalized, you can start preparing for any other activities that you need to go along with the methodology. Make a work plan or a work breakdown structure of all the different activities that you want to do during this year, in the year 1, year 2, and year 3. If you are planning any research exchange activities, that is going to spend, say, 6 months at some other university, then you can also start contacting potential other universities or professors at other universities where you want to go and spend time. So all these are some activities that you should plan, you should do, and each of these activities kind of will take fair bit of time to do. So time management becomes very important in this case. So I found this one a plan from this website here, ntnu.no. I think it is some university in Norway, maybe. NO is Norway, probably. I'm not sure. Yeah, so here they have done a very high level plan of activities for your research. 3 or 4 things here. What you can see, what is quite outstanding for me here is their focus on publications here. So you can see conference article 1, journal article 1, literature study article 2, journal article 2, conference article, journal article, and so on. And I feel that these are different contributions of your research. Okay, Ambili, you mentioned research grants. Yes, I think if you can apply research grants in the first year, definitely do so. I think for applying research grants, you need to have a bit of a track record, first of all. So if you're spending the first year or the first 6-7 months doing your research, and if you can get a couple of good papers, that builds your track record in that space, and then definitely you can apply for research grants. And they could be small research grants as well. It doesn't have to be really large grants. It could be grants for conference travel. It could be grants for covering your conference registration fees or journal publication fees. There are many different types of grants that students can apply during their PhD program. So thanks for that. That's a good idea, Ambili. So I think those are the slides for today's presentation. What I want you to do as part of your homework is to start preparing the year 1 plan and either use Coggle. I think Coggle is better. Make yourself familiar with Coggle a bit more, and and then start putting these different activities that you are wanting to for your plan. So let me see if how the Koggle is looking now. Okay, so thanks, Kathleen and Vidya. I think you have done a good job sorting this out. It is much more easier to navigate now. So what I would say is, where is January? Okay, so January is here. If you want to add any activities that you think you want to do it in January, just press this plus icon and add that task. So maybe say visit the library. Okay, and just try to keep the tasks starting from January. If it is a subtask like from library, if you want to go and say create a subtask here, that is visit meet the librarian, and you can create a subtask. So try to group it in a proper order, and once you do that, you will see that a lot of this information could be helpful to a lot of them, a lot of you. What we may do now is we already spent like hour and a half. If you want, now jump into Koggle and start putting at least one activity that you want to do in each month. Maybe the one that you have uploaded in the Google form. If you remember that, start putting that in, and we will slowly kind of see the plan evolve as we progress. Now, for those who have not yet received the email from Koggle, could you please let me know, and I'll try to send the invite again. So has everyone got access to Koggle? Please let me know, because I would want you to work on that this week so that we have a thorough plan ready as we move forward. Okay, I think what we may do now is kind of finish off the session. You can still continue to work on the Koggle and update it as you go. I'll be looking at it over this week, and if I feel anything needs to be reorganized or moved around, I will do that as well. For next session, which is next Thursday, we will be looking more into the year two PhDs. What is it that what activities I suggest that you could do in that time frame for the year two of your PhD. Can I also get you to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not done so already? And if you have done, then thank you for that. If you have not done, then please do subscribe. And if there are any further questions, you can leave those questions on this video. You can also check this video later on. It will be live. It will be available on YouTube on my channel. All right. So I hope this will get you all started in January 2021 to start planning for your research. And I hope you can come up with a good plan, detailed plan that you can stick to for the rest of the year. And I'll provide you as much feedback as I can wherever I can to guide you through that process of planning, because I think planning is very much important. Once you have a proper plan, execution becomes much easier rather than just doing tasks in a random manner. Okay, so on that note, I'll say thank you very much once again for all of you who have joined the session. Really appreciate your support, and I'll see you all again next week. And please do share this webinar information to your friends or your colleagues. As I would like to have more people attend the session, the next session. All right. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.